Hey guys, so we are officially done with scientific notation for the year and we are going to we're going to do a quick week review on two-step equations. We've done these this year. You did them in 7th grade. You may have even seen them in 6th grade. In 6th grade, you did see equations, so this should be a good review. I tried to keep them pretty simple with a bunch of positives, and then we did subtraction, but all of your numbers are positive, so this one should be pretty basic. If you need all of your steps, so the first 4 steps are how to solve them, and then step number 5 is how to check your answer. This is really important for what we're going to do next week. So what we're going to do here is we're going to go through and we're going to solve 1 through 6, and then we're going to go through and I'm going to teach you how to check them. Most students have most trouble with checking them, so make sure that you watch that, because like I said, next week is going to be really important that you know how to do that. Okay, so we're going to go ahead. We're going to start with number 1. If you think you get it, like if you remember how to do this and you want to do them all on your own and then just come back and check the answers at the end of the video, then you're more than welcome to do that. If you have no idea what you're doing, then please just follow along and we'll do them one step at a time. Okay, so step number 1 says draw a line down the middle of the equation. Okay, remember, equation comes from the word equal, which means this side has to be equal to this one. So we've got to figure out what x is to make this side equal to 78. They have to be exactly the same. It's like a balance beam. The left side has to equal out the same as the right side. So some of you can plug in numbers and do it that way. However, you really need to understand how to solve equations, because you are going to algebra in the next few months. And I promise you, algebra is all about equations. So please, please, please pay attention to this. Okay, so you're going to circle your x term, and not just the x, but the whole term with the x. Before we get x by itself, we have to get these 3 x's by themselves. So you're going to look what's over here with it, okay? We have a plus 42. Okay, so the way that you are going to get rid of plus 42 is you're going to do the opposite of that. The opposite of plus is minus. And if I have a plus 42, the opposite of that would be minus 42. Now, an equation means that it has to be equal. If you do something to the left side, you have to do the same thing to the right side. So when I subtract 42 from the left, I'm going to subtract 42 from the right. Okay, now you can do this part in your calculator if you want, but you don't have to. You know 42 minus 42 should be 0. If you don't know that, then do it in your calculator. You get 0. So instead of writing 0 there, I don't want you to add anything extra. I just want you to cancel them out. Okay? Then you're going to bring down what's left over. If that's not there anymore, then you bring down your 3x. Equals is in the middle. And then you're going to do 78 minus 42. 78 minus 42. You're left with 36. Now this is called a one-step equation. You have one more step before you get x by itself. This is 3 times x, okay? Up here, we had plus. The opposite of plus was minus. So when you have 3 times x, to get rid of times 3, you're going to do the opposite of that. The opposite of times 3 is divided by 3. So we're going to divide the left side by 3. And remember, whatever we do to the left, we must also do to the right. So we're going to divide by 3 on the right. 3 divided by 3 is 1. Now we have 1x all by itself. That was what we wanted to do. We wanted to solve for x. So we have x all by itself. And then the answer is going to be whatever 36 divided by 3 is. So then we're going to go do 36 divided by 3. And it leaves you with 12. So your answer for number 1 is 12. We're going to, like I said, we're going to come back and check it. I just don't want to confuse you right off the bat. I kind of want you to get a rhythm going, and then we'll go back and check them. Okay, so number 2, same steps. Draw a line down the middle. You have a left side and you have a right side. You're going to circle your x term, because the objective here is to get the x by itself. But before we can get x by itself, we have to get these 12 x's by themselves, okay? So to do that, we look over on the left side, what's over here with it. We have a plus 14. So the way that you get rid of plus 14 would be the opposite of that, minus 14. And if you minus 14 on the left, equal equation means you have to be fair. You have to do it to the right side. So I'm going to minus 14 on the right. 14 minus 14 is 0. So that's the only time you can cancel them out is when it equals 0. What's left on the left side is 12x. So you're going to bring down your 12x. Remember your equal sign in the middle. And then you're going to do 50 minus 14. 50 minus 14 leaves you with 36. Okay, so we took away 14 from both sides. Now we have a one-step equation. 12 times x equals 36. Well, to get rid of times 12, you have to do the opposite of that. The opposite of times 12 would be divided by 12. And if you divide by 12 on the left, you have to be fair and divide by 12 on the right. 12 divided by 12 is 1. So we don't have 12 x's anymore. We have 1x. That was what we wanted to do. When we're solving an equation, we want to get 1x all by itself. Don't forget equals in the middle. And then you simply solve 36 divided, that bar means to divide, by 12 equals 3. So your answer for number 2 is x is equal to 3. Okay, we're gonna do the same exact thing. If you're getting a hang of it and would like to pause this video and do number 3 on your own, I think that'd be a really good idea. If you're not ready for that, it's also fine. All right, so we are going to draw a line down the middle. And then we're going to circle our whole x term. Before we get x by itself, we want to get these 7 x's by themselves. And then what's open, we look to see, well, what do I need to get rid of to get 7x by itself? Well, we have a plus 23. To get rid of it, we do the opposite. The opposite of plus 23 would be minus 23. And remember, equal signs means it's got to be fair. If I subtract 23 on the left, I have to subtract 23 on the right. Now, some of you may be looking at this right side, but Miss Warfel, you can't subtract 23 from 9. This one's going to be special. You can, it will just be a negative number, okay? And that's perfectly fine. Nothing's going to change. All right, so 23 minus 23 is 0. Those cancel. You're going to bring down your 7x equals, now just do this in your calculator like you see it. Read it from top to bottom. 9 minus 23. 9 minus 23. You get negative 14. Don't forget your negative. If you forget your negative, your answer is going to be wrong. This negative does not change anything about your problem. All you're going to have to do is plug it into your calculator differently. Okay, so now we're going to do the same thing. We want to get x by itself, but right now we have 7 times x. To get rid of times, we need to divide. And the number we want to get rid of is 7. So you're always going to divide by that number in front of x. And if I divide by 7 on the left, I need to divide by 7 on the right. 7 divided by 7 is 1, so those cancel. We have 1x, that's what we wanted to do, equals, now, look in your calculator. This totally depends on the calculator that you have. So if you're not sure how to put a negative 14 in your calculator, please let me know. Email me, send me a message on Remind, and I can figure that out for you. On calculators at school, remember it's 14, and then you press the little minus sign. If you have a phone and are doing it on your phone, then there is also a negative sign. If you don't know how to get a negative in your calculator, if you do 0 minus the number, a negative is going to come up every time, okay? So somehow get negative 14 in your calculator and then just press divide by 7. And your answer is negative 2. Okay, so let's go back and look at 1 through 3. So if you noticed, you had an x term plus a number equals a number, okay? So every single time when there was plus, we subtracted first. And then the second step that we did was divide by the number in front of x. We divided by 3 here. We divided by 12 here. We divided by 7 here. And that's what you're going to do every single time you have an equation set up like that. Okay, if you look at 4, 5, and 6, the only thing that changed was that instead of a plus here, we now have a minus. Okay, so I'm going to explain how to do that now. All right, so once again, first step, draw a line down the middle. Circle your x term. And now the second part is we want to get rid of what's over here with it. On the left side, we had plus 42. The opposite of plus 42 is minus 42. Now we have minus 17. The opposite of minus 17 is going to be plus 17. You've got to do the opposite to get rid of it. All right. So if I add 17 to the left, that means I have to add 17 to the right. Minus 17 plus 17 adds up to 0. Those cancel. They only cancel if they're opposites. Make sure they're opposites. You bring down your 6x. You put your equal sign in the middle. And then use your calculator. 91 plus 17. 91 plus 17. You get 108. Okay? Now, from here on out, it's the same exact thing as every problem we've done so far. You have 6 times x. So the opposite of times is divide. So you're going to divide on both sides. And we want to get rid of the number in front of x to get x by itself. So we want to divide by 6 on both sides. 6 divided by 6 is 1. It leaves you with 1x. That's what we wanted. And then the last thing you do is divide. 108 divided by 6 is 18. Okay? Like I said, if you're feeling confident and you think that you can do 5 and 6 on your own, please try it. You can always change your answers, erase them, do them again. But trying them on your own will definitely help. We're going to go ahead. First step, draw a line down the middle. Second step, circle your whole x term. We want to get the 2 x's by themselves, and then we'll be able to get x by itself. Okay, so then you got to look over what's over here with it on the left side. We have a minus 33. We need to get rid of minus 33. The only way to get rid of minus 33 is to do the opposite. The opposite of minus is plus 33. The opposite of minus 33 is plus 33. Equations means everything is equal. It's got to be fair. So what you do on the left side, you must also do on the right side. So if I added 33 to the left, now I have to add 33 to the right. Minus 33 plus 33 adds up to 0. They cancel. You're going to bring down your 2x. And then you're going to add your numbers together. 29 plus 33. You get 62. Okay, now this step is just like the last 4. You have multiplication, 2 times x. The opposite of times is divide, so you're going to divide both sides by the number in front of x. We want to get rid of the 2. So the opposite of times 2 is divided by 2. And if I divide by 2 on the left, I have to divide by 2 on the right. 2 divided by 2 is 1, so they cancel out. Equals, now you're going to do 62 divided by 2 is 31. So for this equation, x is equal to 31. All right, very last problem. Same thing. Draw a line down the middle. Circle your x term, which is 15x. And then we got to look on the side with the variable. We have a minus 7. So to get rid of minus 7, we have to do the opposite of that. The opposite of minus is plus, and the opposite of minus 7 is going to be plus 7. Then we know equation means equal. So it's got to be equal. Whatever you do to the left, you have to do to the right. So if you add 7 to the left, you're going to have to add 7 to the right. Minus 7 and plus 7 cancel out. So you're going to bring down your 15x. Equals in the middle, and then you're going to do 173 plus 7 is 180. And then this is the very last step is the same for all of them. You have multiplication, 15 times x. The opposite of times is divide, so you want to divide on both sides. The opposite of times 15 is going to be divided by 15. You want to divide by the number in front of x. We want to get rid of that 15 so we can just have 1x by itself. If I divide by 15 on the left, I need to divide by 15 on the right. 15 divided by 15 is 1. Those cancel out. So you have 180 divided by 15 is 12. So x is equal to 12. Now, most of you have done this, okay, which is great. However, next week we're going to do something a little bit different. So you're going to have to understand what these answers mean, okay? So let's look back at number 1. If x is 12, what that means is if I plug 12 in with x, and multiply and add these numbers together, both sides are going to equal 78. When you solve for an x, that's telling you the number that's going to make both sides equal. Okay, same thing for number 2. If I plug in 3 and I multiply and add these numbers together, it's going to be 50 so that each side will be equal. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and do that. And if you look at step 5, it says check your answer. So it says plug in the value for x in the equation. So you need to rewrite your equation first. So we have 3x plus 42 equals 78. Okay? Then it says plug in the answer. That means where x is, we need to replace it with 12 because that's what we got for x. Okay? And then you're going to bring everything else down. 3 times 12 plus 42 should be equal to 78 if we were correct. Okay? So then, and if you want to draw your line down the middle, you can. Then, with order of operations, say you have to multiply and then add. So we're going to multiply 3 times 12 is 36. Bring everything else down. Plus 42 equals 78. And the last thing we're going to do is add these numbers together. 36 plus 42 is equal to, oh, looky there, 78 equals 78. Now, a lot of kids don't think that you need to do this last part. You can't just put 78 here. You have got to see that both sides of the equation are equal. It's like a balance beam. If the left side is different from the right side, that means you did not solve the equation correctly. If they're exactly the same, that means we got it right and we can move on. Okay? So let's try number 2. We're going to check number 2. So the first step is we got to rewrite the equation. So 12x plus 14 equals 50. If you want to, like I said, if you want to go ahead and draw your line down the middle, because you know this left side's going to have to be equal to the right side. Then it says plug in your value for x. We've solved for x. We think it's 3. So we're going to take out the x and we're going to put a 3 there. I put parentheses because it means to multiply. Now you're going to bring everything else down. 12 times 3 plus 14 should be equal to 50 if we worked it out right. Okay? Now, order of operations say I have to multiply before I add. So 12 times 3 is 36. Bring down plus 14. And you're just going to keep copying down that 50. Last thing that it says that we need to do is add 36 plus 14. Looky there, is 50. So that means the left side is equal to the right side. This is different than solving for the equation. When we get to this part, some people want to subtract 14 from both sides. You don't need to do that, okay? We're not trying to get x by itself anymore. We know x. We're trying to figure out if I plug in x, what is the left side equal to? We plugged it in, we multiplied, we added, we got 50. We now know that the left side is equal to 50 and the right side is equal to 50. So we solved for x and found the number that makes both sides of the equation equal. That makes an equation actually an equation equal on both sides. Okay? This one's going to be slightly different because there's a negative. It shouldn't be any different. Just some of you kind of get confused with that part, so just do this one carefully. So rewrite your equation. 7x plus 23 equals 9. You can draw your line down the middle. You're going to replace x with a negative 2. So just be careful when you plug it in. Make sure that little negative's there. Bring everything else down. 7 times negative 2 plus 23 equals 9. And then you're going to do it the same exact thing. You have multiplication and addition. Order of operations, say you have to multiply first. So be careful here. 7 times 2 is not the problem. We need a negative 2. So figure out in your calculator how to get a negative 2. And you get negative 14. If you would like to do it opposite, if it's easier to put the negative in first, then you can do negative 2 times 7 that way as well. So whatever way you do it, you should get negative 14. Bring everything else down. Plus 23 equals 9. Last thing that we have to do is add these two numbers together. Make sure it's negative 14. If it's positive 14, you're going to get the wrong answer. Plus 23 equals 9. We know our answer's right because the left side of the equation is exactly the same as the right side of the equation. Okay? Number 4. We're going to do the same exact thing. The only difference with checking it for 4, 5, and 6 is that at the very end when we add, instead of adding, we're going to need to subtract. All right, so here we go. We're going to write the equation down. 6x minus 17 equals 91. We're going to draw our line. You're going to take out the x, and you're going to replace it with whatever answer you got. We got 18 for this problem. All right, then you're going to bring everything down. 6 times 18 minus 17 equals 91. And then you're just going to work out the left side. The right side right now really doesn't matter. We just need to check it when we get to the very end. All right, so order of operations. Between multiplication and subtraction, you have to multiply first. So 6 times 18 is 108. Bring everything else down. Last but not least, instead of adding, this time the equation says to subtract. So we have 108 minus 17 equals 91. The left side is equal to the right side. This equation is perfectly equal on both sides, so we're correct. If you get this and you want to go ahead and finish it, you're more than welcome to. All right, so 5 and 6. First step, write the equation down. 2x minus 33 equals 29. Draw the line down the middle. Now we need to plug in our x value. So for x, we solved and got 31. So you're going to plug in 31 for x. You're going to bring everything down. 2 times 31 minus 33 equals 29. Between multiplication and subtraction, you have to multiply first. So 2 times 31 equals 62. Bring down everything else. Minus 33 equals 29. And your very last step is that you have to subtract these numbers. 62 minus 33 equals 29. Both sides are equal, so we know we're right. All right, last one. First step, write down the problem. The reason you have to write the problem down is you can't plug in anything for x if there's not an x there. So you have to write your equation down so that you can substitute your x in. All right, draw a line down the middle. We want to take out the x and replace it with 12. We solve for 12. You want to bring everything else down. 15's in front. Minus 7 equals 173. All right, remember, the right side doesn't matter. We've got to multiply before we subtract. So 15 times 12 equals 180. Bring down minus 7 equals 173. Last but not least, you have to subtract 180 minus 7 equals 173. You know both sides are exactly the same, so you're correct. Okay, so we worked all these problems out, so we know we're right, okay? When we checked them, we proved for the second time that we're right. So what I'm going to do real quick is I'm going to go on the back. I'm going to start with number 1, and I'm going to show you what's going to happen when you check your answer if your answer is wrong, okay? So number 1 was 3x plus 42 equals 78. So I'm going to get a piece of paper. Okay. So this is just a little extra for you to understand what's going to happen if you get the wrong answer, because on all of these, we got the right answer. Okay, so number 1, my problem was 3x plus 42 equals 78. Okay, we know the answer is 12, but say maybe I added wrong and I got x equals 10 instead. What to check it, I'm going to do the same thing. Okay, I'm going to draw a line down the middle. I'm going to take out my x. I'm going to replace it with 10. I'm going to bring everything down. Okay, I'm trying to teach you how to check your answer because I'm not right there behind you to help you with this. Okay, so then you do the same thing. 3 times 10 is 30. bring everything else down. Last but not least, you add them together. 30 plus 42 is 72. Does 72 equal 78? Well, I hope everybody watching this video knows that. No, 72 does not equal 78. And what does that mean? That means x does not equal 10. So then what do? Well, if I were you, I would go back to my problem and I would try it again. Okay, so if you ever plug in your answer and the two sides are not equal to each other, then you know your answer is wrong. As long as you did all of this work right, then your answer is wrong. Don't leave that same answer. Go back and figure out what the right answer is. Or email me or send me a message and remind, and we can figure it out together. Okay, so if you have any questions, please let me know. Like I said, the blue part, the working them out, should be pretty good review. I do want you guys to also check it because, like I said, starting Monday of next week, you are going to need to be able to do this purple part. Okay, so if you have any questions, like I said, please let me know. Message me on Remind, send me an email. Yes, I hope you're all having a good day. We are starting week 7. These are the last 2 weeks of graded work. So just keep trucking, finish strong, and we're almost done. Have a good day.